What's going on, everybody? This is Samir Azizi, and today we have a special guest, Husnain. How's it going, sir?
It's awesome.
You doing fantastic?
Yeah.
Or are you doing so-so?
We're at the Startup Village. How can you not be doing good
Bro,
here? Have you seen it around here?
I love it so much. Startup Village, by Solana, by Superteam. They did an amazing job doing this whole thing. We were like in Toronto, in the heart of Toronto. They have this amazing office, and it's just like so high tech, and it's branded, and it's just like super crypto, super Web3.
It's way beyond my expectations. I came in the first day and I was like, whoa.
I mean, have you seen those views? Like, we literally have view like sheeps and freaking
there's a
lake, and the airport is landing.
And
like,
if you look close enough, there's the CN Tower as well.
Oh my God, this is cool. And we have free food, man. And free drinks too, I guess.
It's basically like an office, and there's everything catered and taken care of. And to be honest, I think it does increase my productivity, even though I have to travel 40 minutes, 50 minutes to get here. Yeah. But the amount of work that I got done yesterday was kind of surprising compared to how much I get done otherwise.
Do you think that's because we're like in an actual space, or is it because everyone else around you is also working?
I don't know if everyone was working, but
but
I don't know. I think it was just the space and like how everything is just set up so comfortably for you to not think about anything.
Yeah.
And there's like a schedule for food. You just see everyone get food and you're just getting food. You don't have to worry about that if you have to go out, find food or order or something like that. You just it's there, you eat, you go back to work. You need something, you just go to the kitchen, find it. Bathroom right there, desk, you want to stand up, the desk moves up.
You're like a poster boy for anti-remote work. I like they have like little workshops too, like that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, they've been very informative, and you kind of get to build a connection with the speaker as well, right? Because it's not one of those big audience and one speaker just talking. It's more of like an interaction, and back and forth. So I really like that.
My favorite thing about it is that I kind of know all these people who is organizing, and I'm sure you too. And it's Superteam. Shout out to Fib. Shout out to Simon, Ben, Viet as well. With everyone, basically. I don't know if I dox them or not, actually. But I just, it's kind of comfortable. I usually don't like to do this whole introduction spiel and all that. I usually come in and just do work. I'm not much of a networker when I have to do some work, so that's what I like.
And I think it's only going to get busier as we get closer to consensus, futurist.
Yeah, we're just starting.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's going to go crazy for sure.
Maybe we're not going to like it by the end of it, where it's like too many people here and whatnot.
Seriously. Yeah, let's take advantage.
Once the word gets out about it.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Husnain. That's for starters, if you didn't know that. I've been with Toronto DAO for about a year now. And outside Toronto DAO, I have a stealth startup that I'm working on right now.
So we'll chat about Toronto DAO, obviously. That's kind of like what unites all of us here. Right. The logo, exactly. But tell me about the stealth startup. Obviously, it's stealth, so you cannot actually tell me about it, but just overall experience of running it.
So it's interesting. I've worked with a lot of teams, since the beginning of managing teams. In my experience, right? I find it interesting that earlier I didn't need to motivate the team as much, even though they were volunteers for a lot of the teams, right? What I do find is that in a paid environment, you still need to motivate the team to a certain level. Even though you would assume that it's their job, so they should be doing the work to a certain level.
Right.
But there is I find that a lot of my time is consumed managing people rather than doing actual work at this point.
And do you does it mean you think about incentives, what drives them or motivates them?
Yeah,
how do you do this?
So what could be a good incentive for a certain person, or what could be a better time to approach them to do a certain task or get certain things moved faster. And I think when you're building that startup, it's I'm at that stage where I've moved on from where I was like, 1 or 2 person team where I got to do a lot of the work myself. But now when you're trying to move out of that phase, go towards getting your first couple of customers and all that, the team gets bigger, then you need specialized people. And obviously you don't have that specialization. So you have to rely on other people to do their job well. And for that, you need to manage them and motivate them so they're working on their with the best motivation they could have.
That's interesting. And what would you say your leadership style is?
That's an interesting question. I haven't thought about it that much. I'm
like everyone says, I'm an authoritarian, for example. Like, do you feel like you're more like a democratic, like let's all kind of come in together, or you also kind of like I tell you what to do, you have to do it?
So see, here's what I've learned. So my dad also runs a business, and I've seen him manage teams before, right? So his style, I think I've adopted that style, which is more of like it's not authoritarian. It's more of you kind of motivate the person to do the job they're supposed to do, and they do it out of the motivation. So trying to build that intrinsic motivation rather than that external factor of maybe, fear or like, this was your job to do or get it done. Mm-hmm. And I really like that style, even though it does slow you down, in my opinion, and I've seen it slow it down. It has its disadvantages, right? And maybe I won't be this way in a few months from now, when the team gets bigger.
When you have VCs on your ass, right?
Right? Yeah. So when it gets to that part, maybe it's going to be more stressful. It's going to be, you got to meet the goals, quarters finishing, that thing's not been shipped yet, that product's still in testing phase, blah, 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 all that, right? So maybe it will change, but so far it's been like what I see my dad do, which is to motivate and get the job done that way.
It's kind of funny because my dad is running a business and his style is authoritarian. So I guess we're both emulating our dads, but which is kind of normal, I would say. But like, just the final question on the stealth startup, is this at least like a Web3 thing, or is it something more traditional Web2 stuff?
So it's a combination. I would say it comes into, it's like an infrastructure for Web3 projects to perform better. That's what we're looking at. It would definitely be a B2B model, a subscription-based B2B model. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, well, let's move on to Toronto DAO. We just had an event last week, I think, or maybe like 2 weeks ago already, on April 23rd, dedicated to decentralized artificial intelligence and data. And this time around, you were taking a huge part of the event. In particular, you were a lot in front of the camera, in front of the crowd, giving a presentation. You were also a moderator. So just wanted to kind of like get your take on the event itself. Like, how's your experience, but also like being kind of a center of attention this time around.
So in the past, I've been mostly behind the scenes. Like you mentioned, this is the first time I was kind of in front of the camera doing a presentation, even though I do have a lot of experience with that. I tend to find that I like the behind the scene roles more because while we can argue what makes an event successful, what doesn't, blah, 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 people, in my experience of running events and organizing events, for an event to run smoothly, there's a lot of stuff that's happening behind the scenes that people just don't realize, right? And you only kind of see that when there's like a bad event you go to, and you're like, how disorganized the stuff is, food's getting cold, maybe drinks are there or not. But if you go to a well-organized event or, Startup Village,
it's well-organized events such as ours.
Yeah. So if you come to one of the Toronto DAO events, you won't realize it, but when you leave, you'll be like, I enjoyed it and things were smooth. And that's because there's like a team of like 11 people. Maybe only 3 were up on the stage, but there's everyone else that gets there at 4:00 for a 6:30 event. To make sure that everything is put in place, everything's running smoothly, tech is working, our PowerPoint slides are there, all those kind of things are there. So I used to I still like that behind the scenes role, because I think for an event to run smoothly, those things that are behind the scenes, they need to be perfected, right? So this time, it was the first time I was not as much behind the scenes. And I did enjoy that as well, right?
You were I was really surprised by the great presentations that you had. You were doing a Toronto DAO presentation this time, but it wasn't a presentation, it was like an interactive work. And I was like, I almost cried behind the scenes there. I was like, oh my God, like he took it so seriously. Like, I love it. Like I was like genuinely impressed, man.
Yeah, because I tend to put myself in the seats of the audience instead of the shoes. And when you go to a presentation, I tend to find the interactive ones more helpful and I guess more enjoyable, rather than just sitting there watching a person speak, a bunch of slides, text on the slides. I don't tend to enjoy that.
And
right?
It's not the first time we actually were showing that type of presentation, right? Like in general.
Yeah. So we've done the same presentation every single event
3 times. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Similar information, not
similar
the exact slides, but the information that's on the slides has been kind of consistent over the years. Our mission statement,
right?
Team's been expanding, so all that. But I just wanted to do it in a different method where maybe people will retain more information, they'll enjoy participating, and maybe they'll want to come back to the next event and be like, I want to be part of that trivia. Maybe I'll win this time or something like that, right?
Yeah, and you quizzed them on a lot of history, actually. And it made me realize, like, we've done a lot of things, and it's like all the partnerships and the apps and, like, different developments. It kind of, like, you did a good summary, but also, like, kind of, like, let them learn about it as well. And I was also surprised how many people knew about what's true. You know what I mean? They were getting the right answers on all those quizzes.
I did not try to make the answers easy. Some of them were confusing on purpose.
Even you weren't sure about one of the answers.
Yeah. I was like, okay, wait, let's see what the answer
for this is. You're
looking
at me like, I'm like, yeah, what's wrong? Like, that's the right answer.
Yeah. So I was surprised. Yeah, we had like 80-something percent correct answer rate, which was surprising to me. Yeah.
What would you say makes us stand out? And I know we're like trying to toot our own horn here, but like we had a lot of experience doing these great events. But I want to make sure that other groups also are able to do something great like Toronto DAO does, and we're trying to share that experience. Like, what do you think? Why do we stand out?
Why do we stand out? Could be multiple reasons. So I won't know for sure, right? I can only guess. I think one of the reasons is that we're consistent. I've seen other volunteer organizations or other organizations in the community. I can only think of one other that might be consistent with what they're doing. We have our events there; they've been consistently there. The content that we're putting out, right? The schedules that you've made for it, that has been consistently there. The podcast the Twitter spaces that we do, that has been consistently there, right? We haven't. I can't think of a week that we've missed out the space.
That's true.
Right? So I don't know if we realize it or not, but that consistency, that's what builds momentum, right? Similarly, I think you mentioned it last time, how we have a list of like 1,000+ community members.
Almost 200, yep.
And these are all the people that we have checked in through Luma or another check-in platform. So these are real people. They're not just bots or people, maybe someone sitting in Asia or something like that, right? These are actual GTA people or Torontonians that were there that we checked in. And that's really valuable, and that's built up over time, right? So I think that's something that's that I think we're doing right, is which we're staying consistent, even though we might not get the consistent views across all our Twitter spaces. Sometimes we have 5 people. Other times we'll have 30 people, but we still stick to it and we consistently do it.
I could have not said it better. You're right, Husnain. Consistency is definitely something that not everyone is doing, but it definitely helps. And you're right, it definitely keeps the momentum going. Husnain, thanks so much for being on this podcast with me. And of course, I'd like the audience to reach out to you. How can the audience reach out to you?
LinkedIn or Telegram.
I'll drop the links to this video. And of course, I'd like to say thank you very much to Solana Startup Village Toronto and the Superteam for their hospitality. Thanks, Husnain.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.